What's going on, guys? It's Luke22SV here, and we're here with the second race review of the season in Bahrain. So without further ado, I'm going to get straight into the video with a complete disaster for Charles Leclerc. It was going so well, he was completely owning the weekend, and it was just a complete disaster. His MGUH, I think, failed on him. He's had such a good race. He fought back from a poor start. He was behind, I think, Valtteri Bottas, and then overtook Vettel as well a few laps later, and was easily pulling away from the lead and was holding the lead for such a long time. It would have easily been a good maiden win for him, but it's not to be. It was a complete misfortunate. So horrible to see Leclerc come down with those engine issues, and I'm sure he will come back stronger, because the Ferrari, of course, has looked immense around Bahrain. I thought going into after the Australian Grand Prix, I was tempted to put money on Leclerc to get pole position for some reason, having won the race in Formula 2 before, and of course Ferrari goes so well around Bahrain as well in recent years, with Vettel winning the previous two races in 2018 and 2017. But moving on to the race winner, Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, what he does so well is stay out of trouble. He's a very wise driver. Of course, people obviously say that things get gifted to him, but you have to be there to pick up the pieces, and that's what Lewis Hamilton does so many times, and that's why he's won 5 World Championships, because he's just always there. And another win for him, and that puts him second in the championship, I believe, behind Valtteri Bottas, who had a very ordinary race. It was pretty much the 2018 version of Valtteri Bottas we saw this weekend. Although he was quite aggressive at the start, he did get ahead of Hamilton, but he made a few 2018 sort of mistakes, locking up a bit, not quite being on the same level as his teammate. As we saw in Australia, he was a level above Lewis Hamilton. But Max Verstappen, he finished 4th again. He was not really, he's racing on by himself pretty much this weekend. Red Bull really did not look good this weekend for some reason. Don't know why that is, but hopefully Red Bull can. Well, they've obviously won the Chinese Grand Prix last year with Daniel Ricciardo, won the Monaco Grand Prix with Daniel Ricciardo as well, which is in a few weeks' time. But it's just, I don't know about Red Bull, whether they look a bit worse off than they did last season, to be honest, if anything. Don't know why that is, but we'll see. If they can bring some upgrades and improve the car in the next few races. Of course, next we got Sebastian Vettel, who had another spin. It's quite an unlucky spin you have, and obviously, speaking of spins, there's a spin on TV on the screen, as you can see right now. But Sebastian Vettel, it was another disaster for him, being outperformed by Charles Leclerc. I think he struggled with tyre temps and stuff like that this weekend, so obviously Vettel wasn't very comfortable with the car, whereas Leclerc was. Maybe we'll see Vettel actually show some true pace in China. He was on pole there last season, so I don't know. I think we can still see. Hopefully Vettel will recover his form, because it's been a disaster for him in recent times. And
let me know you're all right.
Can Ferrari keep faith in him? Hopefully that is the case. It's quite a tough time for Vettel after all his spins in 2018 towards the end of that season, but I'm sure he can recover his true performance, because he is a 4-time world champion after all. Moving on, we've got Lando Norris, who had a great result for McLaren and great result for himself. He's got 8 points. Very good result for him. McLaren looking very strong as well. It was nice to see. Carlos Sainz was actually fighting with Max Verstappen until they had a little scrap, and Sainz had to obviously retire in the end. But Sainz was fighting with a Red Bull, McLaren fighting with a Red Bull. Last time we saw that was 2012 really, so that was great to see. Hopefully McLaren can pick up some more form and maybe get some more upgrades on the car, and hopefully we can see McLaren fighting at the front again, because it would be awesome to see Lando Norris fighting at the front, another Brit, as well as Hamilton. Russell's obviously going to be at the back for probably the rest of this season, because I don't think Williams are going to be improving that car much, because they don't have any spare parts, let alone the ability to actually bring new parts to the car. So very unfortunate to see about Williams, but We'll move on to Alfa Romeo's day, and Kimi Raikkonen was 7th. Again, Kimi Raikkonen looks like he's consistently there. Giovinazzi, he's got, I don't know, he seems to be a bit slower in the races as well, but Raikkonen looks really strong. I think we haven't really seen Giovinazzi's true form yet. I think Giovinazzi's actually had some weird strategies as well, different to Raikkonen, and he did finish just outside of the points, but he did also have a collision with Danny Kvyat in the race as well, which was, I think, a 50-50 in the end. I don't think Giovinazzi did get a penalty for it, although Kvyat did get a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But I think Giovinazzi still, he's got a few races, I think, to learn everything, and I'm sure he'll be quite good in a few races' time. Raikkonen's looking quite consistent. He's got some more points for himself. Pierre Gasly's got his first points on the board, but again, another poor qualifying from Pierre Gasly. Hasn't made it to Q3 yet in 2 races in the 3rd best car on the grid. That's really poor. I don't know what's going on with Pierre Gasly, because even though he's learning the car and everything like that, I just don't know why he's out in Q1 in Australia. Maybe down to the team's decision, but still, he should have had a faster lap time than what he did. In Bahrain, he's found himself out in Q2. He really needs to buck up his ideas, because Red Bull are very brutal with their drivers that don't perform. And of course, we've seen Alguersuari, Buemi, Bourdais, people like that have just all gone. Of course, Kvyat had the axe from Red Bull. Could Kvyat be swapping seats with him, perhaps? Well, maybe Alexander Albon might as well, because Alexander Albon, of course, had a great couple of points for himself as well. I think that's his first points in Formula 1. Great result for Albon, outperforming his teammate. He had a little battle with his teammate and a little battle with Gasly as well, who's meant to be in the Red Bull team. But Albon had a strong race, and that was good to see from him. Sergio Perez managed to pick up a point, or racing point, but the reason why he did manage to pick up a point really was because both the Renaults just collapsed at the end of the race for some reason. Hulkenberg's engine just blew up. I think Ricciardo's was just, I don't know, I think he's just cut out. But it's a complete disaster for Renault, because they're looking solidly 4th best. Hulkenberg had a great race, and that's why I've got him driving as him at the moment, because in each of these race reviews that I do, I'll be driving as my driver of the day, and my driver of the day, it was tough to choose between Hulkenberg and Leclerc, but I think I had to choose Hulkenberg because he made up so many places, and he was definitely on course for a good result in P6 as well. And remember, he started behind Pierre Gasly, who's meant to be in a better car. He was way ahead of him at that stage. Daniel Ricciardo is, well, he must be a bit disappointed at that time to be behind Hulkenberg, having started so far ahead of him. But still a learning curve for Daniel Ricciardo and his new team. He did out-qualify Hulkenberg, I guess, at the end of the day. But Haas, after such a good qualifying, with Kevin Magnussen qualifying very well. Grosjean obviously had that issue at the start, which led to him retiring with colliding with Lance Stroll. Grosjean, maybe Haas will eventually start losing patience with Grosjean, and maybe Fittipaldi will return to Formula 1 in his name. But Magnussen, he just fell out of the points and had a wrong strategy, and it just didn't work for him in the end. So he finished 13th, and then both the Williamses finished 15th and 16th. Of course, they'd be at the last. But I think personally, I think it was a good weekend for Mercedes. Obviously, getting a 1-2 again, 2 1-2s in a row. They're looking quite good at the moment. But I think they will be scared of that Ferrari challenge if Ferrari can sort out their reliability, just keep improving their pace as well. They should be bulletproof this season. But who knows? Mercedes, Hamilton did manage to keep up with Vettel in the end in race pace. Qualifying pace was immense from Ferrari, but I think actually Mercedes looked much better in the race than Ferrari did at some certain points. But Leclerc was controlling it at the front. Vettel had his issues with tyre temps and stuff like that, which led to him in the end spinning after defending from Hamilton. Unfortunate for him, but I think at the moment the favourite for the championship, again, I'd have to say, is probably Hamilton. But Leclerc is looking good as well. Well, I don't know about Bottas. I don't know if you can write him off, but I just don't know if Bottas has got it in him to win a championship. And I think Vettel, if he can pick up his form again, can definitely be there as well. And maybe Verstappen, who's actually been quite consistent as well. He's managed to get some points, and well, he's got on the podium and almost got a podium in. If it hadn't been for that safety car, he would have been on the podium again, which is quite impressive for a car which isn't really close enough to fight with the Mercedes and Red Bulls at the moment. But I think he could be up there if Red Bull can bring some upgrades, because Verstappen's looking really good at the moment. But to be honest, I think Renault, they look really solid as well. I thought if they're not really too far off the top 3 teams. Ricciardo was actually leading the race for a short time, I think, but he got overtaken by Leclerc and well, overtaken by everyone, because he was trying a one-stop, trying a risky one-stop just to see if he could get amongst the top guys, but couldn't in the end, and ended up retiring. Hulkenberg looked really strong. I think Renault can get a really good car. They can see these guys on the podium. Hulkenberg and Ricciardo can get a podium this season. I still think they can. But that is pretty much going to be the end of the episode there. That's the review of the Bahrain Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. And hopefully we'll be able to review China in a few days, well, in a few weeks' time as well. I think who's going to win in China? I think it'll be Vettel. I think Vettel will win in China. I think he'll respond, although I think Mercedes will be strong as well. But I'm going for a Vettel win in China, and we'll see. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon for tomorrow's race, which is also in China for the Mick Schumacher career mode. Anyway, thank you guys, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.